Oh, all right. You thought I was going to say, okay, all right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is time for a proper show. No games, no gimmicks, no virtual sets, no green screen, just the mic. Your calls, 253-263-1540. I realize this is the first time I've spoken this morning. 253-263-1540. Give us a call. We're live on TikTok for now. We're live on the YouTube. And we're live back on the TikTok. We're live on the YouTube. We're live on the TikTok. Live on the TikTok, live on the YouTube. You're going to call. I'm going to take your call. What's that number? I'm glad I asked. 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. I'm still using the cell phone for TikTok at the moment because I know it's going to bring more people in on that side of the equation. And I've moved the camera angle over. Last night we were live on TikTok taking your calls in a more of a late night format. I had a virtual set. We were just goofing off. But, you know, I'm playing with the setup as we figure out how we're moving forward here. And boy, do I have no clue what we're doing. I mean, I know what I want to be doing. I know what I'm working towards. But the TikTok ban can still go into effect in 75 days. It's not even 90 days. 75 days. And we could be right back to where we started. I'm glad you're liking the setup because I'm really only showing you bits and pieces at a time here. There's so much that I can do. But I think you're seeing how, you know, each individualized experience that I'm showing you together is a channel worth of programming. But nonetheless, in 75 days, TikTok could be going away again. And I'm not saying that to fearmonger. I'm not saying that for any other reason than what transpired over the weekend was a whole bunch of nothing. We got an extension. Nothing was saved. In fact, damage was done. I'm hearing stories of people who can't even renew subscriptions. I don't know if this executive order is going to mean that the things have changed on the App Store. I haven't looked. I haven't heard yet this morning. I would think that would change, but who knows? The only thing I know is we're right back to where we started. That's all. We're right back to where we started. I don't know what else to tell you. Where are you with all this? Because at this point, I'm really looking to you. I know that I am heavily conflicted. I feel like the app just had a major PR nightmare for themselves. And I know people come here and expect Disney, blah, 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 blah. But we're talking TikTok right now. And I think that this is a China versus U.S. issue. I think that we are no longer talking about something internal. This is a much larger issue than TikTok. The TikTok of it all shouldn't even scratch the surface in the list of what's important in this country. But as it respects to as it relates to propaganda, it is very important to realize what just occurred. And TikTok is highly complicit in it. We've talked about this many times. I'll say it again. The app did not need to pull the plug. What you've also done is shown a lack of respect for your creators and now punished your creators by making it so people can't resubscribe or you canceled subs. Personally, I don't really care. I should, I don't, I won't. I'm thinking about this interview I'm going to do this afternoon on physical AI. I'm focused on the content. But we have 75 more days of this. I don't want to deal with 75 more days of this, and I don't even feel comfortable expecting support on this platform. Now, you can follow me on Twitch. We're live on YouTube right now. We could be live everywhere, but you crawl. What do you crawl before you walk? Something like that. That's maybe what we're doing. So I only as of last night got the information I personally was waiting to hear because I knew that nothing really transpired. And the executive order, from what I just heard on the news, is 75 days. Okay, and my understanding of the law is that it's a full divestiture. I just don't know if I want to deal with 75 days of this. I don't know if I want to be on this app anymore. I don't know if my audience wants to be on this app anymore. I know some people could care less. They're just happy they got their TikTok back. And I know a lot of other people absolutely feel the way I do. 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. How do you feel? It's hard for me to look at the comments because I got two cameras and I got the call screen. So I'm waiting for somebody to call in and tell me, because look, I was already trying to diversify. We've talked about this. I was already trying to diversify. I shouldn't say trying, I was. But it's there's, hey, this app is moving forward and we're moving forward with it. Or there's, hey, this app isn't moving forward, you're effed, figure it out. I'll take either one of those over being stuck in some sort of uncertain middle, some sort of holding place for the next 3 months. I'm not interested in doing it. So now that desire to diversify, while already the focus, you feel like now you're like, I'm not even looking at being kicked to doing it quicker. I'm looking at taking a bigger jump. But that's a huge leap of faith. That is a huge amount of revenue gone. Again, I'm already looking at, in expansion, I'm already looking at taking a step backwards to go forward. But I don't know if I really want to sit. I mean, I have thoughts on how to handle what I want to do from a technical perspective, from a distribution perspective. But it's only happened last night. A lot of y'all are like, oh, we got our resolution Sunday. No, only last night. And it was a barrage of questions from the press. And I was waiting because every other question went back to TikTok. So for anybody who thinks that this is done or that this is stable, it's not. And I'm just not sure what I want to do about it yet. I've got my thoughts on what I would do irrespective of irrespective of the decision. You can tell I did not go to Dunkin' this morning. This is homemade. It's not the same. I try because I know it's just the thing to do. It's more economical. But it feels like I didn't start my day right. 253-263-1540. Are you staying on the app? Are you just going to wait for them to kick you off the app? Are you already somewhere else? People keep saying, Royce, you should go to Red Note. Royce, you should go to blah, blah, blah. Look, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. We have a podcast, Under the Influence, wherever you listen to your podcast. All these things are on my link tree. We're adding a Substack. That's it. That's it. As this whole thing becomes more experience-driven, more lifestyle-driven, more information-driven, look, there's lots of time for entertainment. We had a blast last night. I expected more callers just because of the late night format, but look, we'll figure it out together. I think you can use comedy as a vessel for information. And I'm looking towards the audience. I'm kind of like, it's like a live poll, because at this point, I know how I feel. I'm not sure how everyone else. Some people are like, I'm done with the app. I know some people who said they already deleted the app. Now, if you deleted the app, you probably, unless you're on YouTube, you're probably missing this whole thing. But I get it. Chinese propaganda, folks, Chinese propaganda. Then on top of that, there's a whole debate going online about whether Elon Musk made a Nazi salute. There's a whole debate. There are screenshots. There are comparisons to other quote-unquote leaders. So here's what I'm going to say to this. Listen closely. If we're having a conversation about whether something is or is not a Nazi salute, we've already lost. The answer is not even relevant. The fact that that is the conversation and that there are people that will take up either side of that debate, we've already lost. Because you can say, yeah, he absolutely did it. Or you can say, no, he didn't. He just did a little other. The fact that there's a debate about it, we've already lost. Much like this Chinese propaganda over the weekend. When are we going to stand up and take our country back? Yeah, you want to come here for Disney? Let me tell you something. Walt built his entire operation off of the American dream. There's no American dream. There's billionaires and there's the dwindling working class. And there's no realization here on my part. But when you watch these things happen, you have two choices: to sit by and accept it, or to get loud about it. I started doing 3 of these shows a week. You know, look, we did the one last night. I didn't even podcast it out. I didn't feel like podcasting it out. It felt like a test episode. And I didn't even put the video up. I haven't even reviewed it, but I'm curious. But I started this format right on the heels of the election. And again, I'm an independent, right? I'm an American. I want to see anybody who holds the office of the president succeed. But when the conversation has gotten to where it's gotten to, when we're talking about, China, when we're talking about TikTok, when we're talking about Elon Musk, when we're talking about all of these things and we're not talking about what needs to be done to improve the lives of the working class people that make this country run, we have lost the plot. We have lost the plot. We have lost the plot. You're on the air. Who's this?
So we can send a technician out to do some emergency repairs in your area.
What happened?
And we just need someone to be.
Somebody's sending a technician out. Hold on. Wait, what?
What would be a good time for us to come by?
I don't want to hear this. This is weird. Somebody's on the phone and they're booking a technician. I want to listen, but I don't want somebody to give out customer information. I want to be respectful of that, but now I'm fascinated. What is, hello?
Look,
hello?
If this isn't a good time for you, you can speak.
It's not a good time. It's not a good time for me. I'm on the air.
Sure.
I don't want to go back. I want to hear it. I really want to hear what they're saying, but I don't want to go back.
Time for you?
They're still saying time for you. How many times are they going to say? Is it a recording? Hello?
I mean, if you don't want internet, I can just cancel your subscription. You can choose someone else. Oh, wait. We're the only company in your area. That's too bad.
Oh, it's a skit. They're playing a skit. I get it. Oh, it's not real. Is this China?
You've been pranked by prankhotline.com.
Oh, well, thank you for that's brilliant. It would have helped if you wrote something. Okay. I don't know what the prank was. Got me. I don't know what the prank was. Okay. Anyway, 253-263-1540. I thought we had China on the line. I was ready to move into interview mode. 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. I'm like, did somebody call us and then take a work call? Weird. Yeah, you actually have to, I don't know what it was. Wild. All right. Well, thank you for killing 30 seconds. 253-263-1540. If we are talking about things that don't relate to working class issues, then we've lost the plot. And it doesn't matter now. Because it's a reality show. It like when I say it doesn't matter, we don't matter. The way that the news media fails to do their job. I remember being in 11th grade, 12th grade, and we would learn about the inverted, what was it, the pregnant eye or the inverted pyramid, whatever the terminology was, but it was about what was newsworthy. And you'd go up to the top, and it was like the more you went to the top of the pyramid, in order to get to newsworthy, like things would fall off. Like, in other words, like at the bottom of the pyramid would be like all of these things that are going on. But to actually get to something being newsworthy and rising to the top of the pyramid, there were all these qualifying factors. Now, because cable news, runs 24/7, and not only does it run 24/7, but then they got a podcast of everything, and then they got the, YouTube video and all this ancillary stuff. It's a nonstop operation. Okay, it's an oversaturation of the same information. And I just feel like we've gotten to a point in this country where the people that are supposed to be the journalists, the ones that are supposed to be having the real conversations, the challenging authority, are just like cheerleaders on the sidelines because it doesn't matter anymore. It's good for ratings. Let's turn all of these executive orders into The Apprentice. Wait, are we now? This is a Florida number. You're on the air. Who's this? Oh, wait.
Now, what can I help you with?
Is it another like tech call? I don't know. That's not a real call. So, I do have to drop it though. We used to have investigative journalism. They were barely talking about this whole crypto drop. They were barely discussing this crypto drop. I'm amazed at what has transpired in the last few days and what the news media has deemed worthy of coverage. I'm not surprised. You look around, you go, oh my gosh, look like this country is on fire in more ways than one, sadly. And we're crying about TikTok, and we're yelling about Elon Musk's hand gestures. Like, when are we going to wake up and take this country back in a meaningful, inspired way? Not in a violent, storm the Bastille kind of way, although I do love the storming of the Bastille. But when are we going to take this country back in a meaningful way? And I don't mean that as a Democrat or a Republican. I mean that as working middle class people that actually can get things done for us. See, the problem with the two-party system is that it keeps people pushed into their corners because it's binary. It's one side or the other. Very few find themselves in the middle. Or at least those that are active, right? Because look at how many people who don't vote. Imagine if they voted. Different conversation. But at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, it doesn't matter where you shake out on the political spectrum. All of that theatrics is a distraction. I can't imagine that there's anybody out there that doesn't want their kids to have a healthy, prosperous future. They don't want to have, a comfortable financial situation for themselves. They want their own health. Okay, everybody wants the same things. I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, no, yeah, let's destroy the earth and let's all, get annihilated. Like, no, I think people have different approaches. But most people want to see the world thrive. Most people want to have a little bit of independence for themselves. Most people want to be able to enjoy their lives, know that they can provide for their kids, provide for them for their future, leave them in a world that's maybe a little bit better than the one that they were introduced to. I don't think there's anybody out there in this country that really doesn't want that. I mean, unless you're really just looking to watch the world burn. But I think most people want to see our teachers get paid a fair wage, our first responders being taken care of, our troops being honored, and our VA being reformed so that all of those troops that come home get the care and consideration they deserve, because they don't. And I speak firsthand as somebody who saw my grandfather deal with that his entire life, or at least my entire life. So I find myself in this spot where, Royce, when are you going to go back to the parks? And then there's the TikTok and all this. And it's like, all I can think about right now is what is going on? What is going on? How did we get here? And how do we change this situation? And if you don't want to have that conversation, that's fine. But that's the conversation I'm choosing to have. People have watched me watch paint dry in the Magic Kingdom. And if you can stick around for that, but you can't stick around for an honest conversation about what the hell has gone wrong in this country and how we are losing our footing to China, and then I can't help you. There's always going to be time for laughs. There's always going to be time for escapism. But I'm at the point right now where I'm like, what am I doing? Because I don't need to do any of this. And in many ways, I don't want to. I would rather go plug into somebody else's operation and produce the heck out of whatever they got going on. We're going to go back. Is this another crank call? Hello?
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 Can you hear me?
I can.
Hello?
I can still hear you.
Hi.
You got to do better than this. You got to do better than that. You got to have some material or something.
Can you hear me now?
If this is your idea of comedy, you got nothing. You got to call in with something. The hear me now thing is like a Verizon bit from like 15, 20 years ago. It's 15, 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago. Get a joke book. Oy vey, Izmir, can you hear me now? That's what we're doing? Talk about how do we get here? At least call in with like a funny voice, like pretend to be like Xi Jinping. I can work with that. I can talk to you. Call back as the president of China. I'll ask you questions. Can you hear me now? What am I supposed to do with that? I can't work with that. You're like giving me hard clay. Give me some clay I can mold. What is going on? 253-263-1540. If you're a real person with a real thought, give me a call. 253-263-1540. It's a little chilly. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. We're not live on Instagram. We're live on YouTube. We're live on TikTok. Maybe we should be live on Instagram. Now look, I I'm not trying to blow up your spot, Heather, but you said you were done with TikTok, and she's back in the app. She's back in the app. So I'm sure people are just like wavering. I know I am. I know I am. I very much would rather focus on the important things. Like I said, I'm doing an interview later today on AI. All right, we're not going to do that live. I want to focus on making that right, and I'm going to put that out there on YouTube and podcast out the audio. But I just don't. I can't. I'm not the kind of person that can just go along with that. It'd be much easier to be the kind of person that can just go along with the nonsense and be like, oh, yeah, well, all right, whatever. Well, go back on TikTok, get that money. Let's go. Pretend like nothing happened. Check your moral compass at the door. At this point, I'm here to tell you to follow me on other platforms. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I have zero desire to go through 75 days of this. I would rather just pack up my bags, figuratively, and walk away from the whole thing and go build a business. I literally would rather just go, okay, well, I'm shutting this down. I'm building a new business. And I mean, in many ways, I've kind of been working towards building a new business by widening this business. But I'll be damned if I'm going to play along with Chinese propaganda. And in 75 days, we could find ourselves saying goodbye to TikTok for real. And I suspect at this point we probably will. Because that's going to allow enough time for enough other things to transpire where that conversation, as was kind of hinted to last night, will become less and less important and will become a bargaining chip. And once it becomes a bargaining chip and the president goes, oh, well, you know what? I don't really care about that. If I can get votes over here, I'm done with TikTok. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'd like to see it stick around, but I'm not dying on that hill. I mean, you saw last night, right? It went from, we went from savior to, we'll see. Waste of all of our time. There are way more important things going on in this country. I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours and talk about the same thing over and over again, how there's way more important things going on in our country. At a certain point, I'm just going to get out there and do it. I don't need to be on social media. I don't need to be doing a podcast. I don't need to be doing any of this. I'd rather go find somebody who's already doing something of value and plug into their operation and bring what I add to their operation and just build something. Independent 24/7 media outlet, independent journalism, something like that. TikTok just becomes a distribution platform in that conversation. But I'm not, and the thing is, I haven't had, but last evening to really have any information. So I'm still in processing mode. I'm sitting here looking at the clock. We've been going for 30 minutes, and I'm just processing out loud to y'all because I really, really don't know. I know how I feel, but I don't know what I'm going to do, right? Because I'm trying to be like a smart businessman about it. The conventional wisdom says just go get the money. But what am I going to do? I'm going to sit here on TikTok and put all my eggs into TikTok, and then 75 days it goes away again? That seems stupid. But it took years to build this up to the point that it works the way it works for me. And I was already preparing for the diversification. So I've got to ask myself, do you just fully jump and say F it? Two 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. That's where I'm at. I agree with you, Missy. Missy's over on YouTube. Missy, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I know everybody's not going to see it that way. I see it that way. All right, this is another crank call, guaranteed, because somebody's just making burner accounts. All right, you're a fake caller, but go. Is this China?
You don't know who I am, but this is my first time doing something.
Oh my Lord! I mean, you don't know who I am. Very, very boring. Very, very boring. I mean, come on. Like, I'm looking to have a real conversation. If this is really where you're at, I mean, then I'm all for laughing. Yeah, I guess you made me laugh once. I'm all for laughing. But we are talking about Chinese propaganda. I mean, can we just focus for 5 minutes about the real issue here? I'm not going to get over this in a day. I'm supposed to sit here now and I'm supposed to act like I'm cool with working on an app that is playing a Chinese propaganda game? I'm supposed to be okay with that? Maybe you're okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I have a huge issue. Now, it's not the issue of TikTok going away. It's not the issue of what the president decides to do. It's the way that TikTok chose to play it. The unplugging of the cord for, 12 hours? Only to release a nonsense statement, only to show complete disrespect for your creators by shutting off certain features and shutting off resubscribing and knocking some people's subs offline. It just shows you. So I'm supposed to sit here and I'm supposed to say, contribute to the gift goal and don't forget to do this, that, and the other. I'm not going to do it. You want to go support me? Go find me on another platform. I'll support myself. I'll figure it out. But I'm ready to kiss this whole thing goodbye and just take this whole thing I built and apply it to something else. And that goes back to something I stated a while ago. And by a while ago, I mean like a week ago. But it feels like a while ago because the last weekend has felt like a year. But oftentimes, and maybe I only said this yesterday for all I know, but many times you find yourself building something that's bigger than the moment you're in, and it's the thing that gets you to the next thing. I was talking to somebody about that. I think it was like WeWork. Like WeWork, the guy was trying to make a baby product or something, and he needed office space, and he was looking for temporary space, and he couldn't find it, and then his whole entire business model shifted. So sometimes, you find yourself going down a lane and you don't even really know where you're going. And then the next thing you know, there's a hard pivot and it all makes sense. So if that's what this moment shakes out to be for me, then so be it. But in many ways, I am done. In many ways, I'm done. The way I feel, and I don't have it in me just to go out there and be like, oh, hey, it's all good. Let's rebuild. And especially knowing that it's not resolved. If it was resolved, different conversation, right? Even with the propaganda of it all. If it was resolved, that's a different conversation. 75 more days of uncertainty. I'm like, no, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to make a move. But then part of me just says, you know what? Shut it all down and go build something else. In other words, take what I've built and apply it to building something else, a new enterprise. Because this, saying goodbye to this is essentially going back to zero anyway. We've been building up these other apps, but I'm ready just to say goodbye to it all. I'm literally ready to say goodbye to it all, and be like, you won't even know where I pop up. I've done it before. I had a huge social media presence before with my business. Deleted it all with COVID. Those people never found me again. Some did. But there are far more important things to be focused on right now. And I just question where my time is best spent. And I don't think it's on TikTok. (253-263-1540). 253-263-1540. I'll go for an hour and then I'll cut it. If people want to call in, I'd love your thoughts. What are you doing on the app? Are you staying? Are you going? I know people keep talking about all these other apps. I'm only sticking to the stable apps for now. Because all of this, people keep announcing, I went over here, I went over there. And I'm talking about content creators. And it's like, well, are you staying there now? Or did you just tell everybody to go follow you over there and now you're back to TikTok? Like, you're going to keep pushing people through the emotional roller coaster. I'm not going to do it. From that perspective, nothing's changed for me. I'm in the same places I've been. We've added this podcast and we've added Twitch. How I utilize those platforms is a different story in the future. But that's a lot of inside baseball. But I'm not going to Red Note. Maybe you are. I'm not going to Red Note. I'm not going to whatever the other one was. All right. I'm not doing it. I would rather just walk away from everything that I have built at this point in the equation, because that gives me the control and the ability to focus. Right now, I couldn't focus yesterday on anything. The reason I did that virtual set last night was because I wanted to test it, and I actually had it running about the same time that I was supposed to go live to do the call-in thing, and I was like, well, here we go. Because I was literally just trying to get something off my list before I went to bed, because I couldn't focus. 253-263-1540. What are you doing? 253-263-1540. I do have this interview later today. I'm very excited about it. But I'm very excited to remind you that it's a new year, which means it's time to spice up your kitchen. Pampered Chef has all the goodies, from spatulas, mandolins, amazing pots and pans and knives. Plus, don't miss out on small appliances like the deluxe air fryer and coffee maker. Spice up your kitchen today. Go visit Colleen Herman at pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. That's pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. And with no estate plan, you could be leaving those you love the most with high taxes, probate fees, and incomplete or divided estate and legal fights and fees. If you live in Florida, contact RK Law for a free consultation to discuss the options and tools you have available to protect your home, savings, and estate for those you love the most. To get started, send an email to russell@rklawpro.com or call 786-566-2456 to set up your consultation today. Last minute shipping from the parks. My friends at the UPS store got you covered at 6526 Old Brick Road, located right behind the Magic Kingdom. That's the UPS store, 6526 Old Brick Road. They have a notary, P.O. boxes, and, of course, packing services. They'll help you out. Check them out. 6526 Old Brick Road, that's the UPS store. And as always, William.bailey is available for all of your travel needs. William.bailey at academytravel.com. William provides a customizable vacation experience. So whether you're looking to plan a Disney cruise, a cruise to wherever you want to go, or just a trip to Disney or anywhere else in the world, William.bailey's got you covered. Reach out to William.bailey at academytravel.com or go to Royces.com. That's my website, and fill out the travel form. Now, that's what happens when you try to improvise and you're not running on Dunkin'. Because whatever it is I'm sipping over here, this is like some McDonald's coffee. It's not getting it done. I made this yesterday. Put it in the fridge overnight, kind of let it steep. It's something. It's not it, though. I got to find out how they're making their coffee over there and then just replicate it at home. That's all I really need. But then, 253-263-1540. I think the easiest thing to do in this situation. And it's unfortunate because TikTok's been very good to me. I have a working relationship with TikTok. But I think that the best course of action in this situation is to literally just walk away. You know, I could stream on every platform for the next 75 days and remind people to go follow me everywhere else. But it's a futile effort. Right? It's a futile effort. It's like trying to it's like a Band-Aid, and it's trying to get something. What am I trying to say? It's like trying to get water out of a stone or blood from a stone, whatever the saying is. I think the energy is better spent just going elsewhere and building elsewhere and just saying goodbye to the app. That's kind of where I'm at. I'd probably get rid of the Discord too, if I'm being honest, and push everybody over to the Substack, because that will invite better discourse, and that will be a place for discourse, because some people can't handle discourse in the Discord. Isn't that something? I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinions. You don't have to agree. But then people get bent out of shape because they feel like their opinions aren't warranted. But if you're the one walking away from the table, which I see so many times, maybe you don't want to have the conversation, but fine. Then on the flip side of that, I see a lot of people that are very abrasive in their thoughts, and I can appreciate the emotion behind it. But not everyone's going to agree with you, and they're certainly not going to agree with you when you're yelling at them and calling them names. Now, I'm guilty of all of that. But if I had it my way, I would get rid of the Discord and just use it for gaming. And I would move everybody over to the Substack, right? So that's a consolidation of the newsletter folks. That's a consolidation of the Discord folks over to Substack. And I would revitalize my operation that way. And I've been asking people to help me do it. And at a certain point, there's going to be people that are going to help me, and there's going to be people that I'm going to ask not to help me. Because at a certain point, it becomes a control thing. Like when I find myself waiting on other people days and days and days, I'm just going to do it on my own. So maybe it's less lives, more produced content, and I just start working towards the bigger thing, and it's building a brand new business. And I just say goodbye to TikTok. That's where I'm at. How do you feel about it? 253-263-1540. Now, I'm not asking you to call in and say, oh, my God, please don't go. But if you feel like I feel, then you know something's changed on this app. And I don't mean switching to Meta servers. I mean something's changed on this app. We'll see. I literally went to bed with a fresh understanding of the executive order. I woke up this morning with the clarification that it is 75 days. I don't know what that even shakes out to. I don't know if this now allows the app stores to turn back on monetization fully. Obviously, there's ways to circumvent some of that, but in-app stuff was the easiest. And even if it's turned back on, I don't really understand why I would ask people to sign up to, number one, throw money into an app that could give two you-know-whats about them, not that they ever did or that a company would, okay, but, could potentially be gone in 75 days. And then on top of that, put money in the pocket of the Chinese Communist Party. I'll certainly sit on this app and rail against the Chinese Communist Party because I do not care. But if you look at what they're doing over in China, their version of TikTok, was it Douyin or Douyin, however you say it? I don't know how you say it. It's all education driven. It's all education driven. We are losing in this country. We are losing to China. And the way this played out to me was just sickening. Unnecessary, sickening, wrought with propaganda. 253-263-1540. I'll go for the hour. And I'm looking for your thoughts and opinions on it. But look, it's all real talk. If you think I even want to be sitting here right now, you know what I mean? So I'll go for the hour. You know, we're supposed to be doing this for 2.5, 3 hours. Take your calls, your conversations. I'm going to have a real nice interview later today that's going to be much more valuable in terms of a listening experience from my perspective. I think you might learn something. And while it may be a lot of fancy stuff with the AI and the physical AI and all of that, I think there will be an entry point there in terms of, you know, the STEAM and the STEM and getting kids into robotics. I think we will get to that point in the conversation. But Robotis has teamed up with MIT, and I guess it's being sponsored by South Korea, but they are working together to implement physical AI. And when you talk about the implementation of physical AI, it's not just, you know, assembly line robotics. You know, sure, we're talking about autonomous individuals, like autonomous robotic individuals, you know, AI bipedal androids, I guess I don't know what you call them. Yeah, like that, whatever you saw Elon tout out, even though those weren't actual functioning autonomous AI bots. But that's not it. Right? There's so much more to physical AI, and I want to scratch the surface on that because we're only going to be able to scratch the surface. But there's so much more to physical AI than Jarvis from Iron Man, although that is very, very cool and very, very real. Okay? The AI arm that like knows what to do and can assist, like that is a real thing. But I'm talking about the physical implementation of AI as it pertains to things like smart cities and transportation. If you think this whole AI, it's a boom, right? It's not a trend, it's a boom. But if you think this whole AI boom has been fascinating, I would suggest you think about the early IoT days. If you know what IoT stands for, it's the Internet of Things. And in the very early days of that Amazon device, all she would do was play music. And then slowly the light switches, and then IFTT or IFTTT, whatever it is. And I rather just say if this, then that. And you start to realize that, oh my gosh, like these smart devices playing music's cool, but it's really about the Internet of Things, right? It's really about smart devices on your internet and being able to use the internet to make everyday devices intelligent. And I use that term loosely. So now think about physical AI and think about taking some of the AI stuff you've seen out there and applying that kind of computing power, that kind of brain power to the physical world. I keep going back in my mind to AI in trucking, but that's a whole different thing. I don't even know how much of that exists is the physical side or not. I guess there's a bit of that in there, but I guess, you know, we'll find out later today. But there's been talk for years, and I don't know how much it's been implemented about using AI and autonomous vehicles for trucking and smart trucks. But for me, the real correlation to all of this conversation goes to smart cities. Like, I'm fascinated with smart cities. It's very much what Walt was trying to build with Epcot and Progress City. And I think that this is going to be a really, really fun conversation. I think you'll learn something. I will learn a lot, I'm sure. So it'll be good. That'll be on YouTube. We'll put some clips out everywhere else. But that's what I'm working towards. You know, and that's why I started this podcast. And that's why at this point for me, I'm looking at TikTok like a distribution channel. And even though it is a revenue channel, a revenue stream, I think it's incumbent upon anybody with a moral compass to take a hard look at their time on the app and to really question whether it's worth it. And if you find that it is worth it for you and you don't care and you're willing to turn a blind eye to it and make money off of it and okay, do your thing. Like, I'm not going to knock you for that. I just don't know if I can do it. And there's a part of me that just really just wants to be like, I'm out. Goodbye. See you on the podcast. 253-263-1540. I know everybody's at work. Yesterday was a holiday. People are getting back to work. They're trying to catch up. I get it. But I'm going to take this thing to the hour mark because it's going to look good as an hour and not as a 55-minute podcast. And I'll get us there. But I'm not going to stick around. Look, I want to do a little interview prep. I want to get a real cup of coffee. I got this thing the other day. If you know when you go into the Guardians queue, there are all of these displays on the right side of the standby queue that divide the Guardians standby queue from the Lightning lane. And you'll see like they're almost like acrylic drums. And if you've ever noticed how they work, it's basically one of those LED fans I've shown you all before that I have, but it's in a drum formation. And it spins and it fills the drum, and it creates a screen. I got a little one of those, and I kind of want to see if I can get like a thing from the ride, like a thing of Rocket or Groot or whatever, and make a video off of that. Yeah, I've been waiting for that to show up. I still intend to make the video. I'll make the video a minute long. Maybe if it blows up, I'll make some money off of the video. So I want to get that done today as well. I mean, that's the other thing. You know, if I am going to do anything on this app right now, and by this app I mean TikTok, because we are live on YouTube, and hello, I'm not looking at all the comments. Sorry, then I just started to look at the comments. I lost my train of thought. 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. What I was saying is I at least am going to attempt to get money off of the app for videos that I post, because that money doesn't come from the audience. That money comes from the app. And I'm going to at least post as much as I can and try to make some videos that pop and put some thought and consideration into making some quality videos. I'm going to try and see if I can get some money out of the app that way. So at least if I'm walking away, you know, I can get some money out of the app. So maybe that's my compromise. Maybe it's less lives on this app and start to monetize those lives elsewhere and use the app for videos and try to milk it for videos. I don't know. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you because either I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. I feel a little bit lost. If I'm being honest. I tend to be honest, but I feel a little bit lost. Not because I didn't expect it to come, but it's the worst case scenario was the additional extension. The worst case scenario was the additional extension. And in many ways, I'm just ready to put my head through a wall. I'm stressed out about it. You have 3 months left on TikTok on the sub. It's crazy how some people get it canceled and some don't. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hello, Lloyd.
Ellis, what's up?
Nothing is snowing in New Orleans right now.
It's snowing in New Orleans. Is that like a regular thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No.
No? When's the last time it snowed in New Orleans?
Probably like in 2009, maybe.
Is that accurate, or are you just making up numbers?
No, that's accurate.
The last time it snowed in New Orleans is 2009?
Yes, that's what I'm assuming.
That's your final answer?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so are you going to go play in the snow? What are you going to do? You going to build a snow ray? You going to build a little snow ray? A little snow ray for Ellis?
It's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely?
Yeah.
Why not? A little snow, a little snow rain, a little snow BB-8.
Maybe.
So what's on your mind? You called in.
I was just calling to let you know that I was snowing, but I might go play in the snow, but who knows?
You might go play in the snow, but who knows? Will it come down to a coin toss? What's going to get you there?
Might come down to a coin toss.
Oh, all right. Well, let me know if I can help with the coin toss. You remember, I always say when we do a coin toss, heads I win, tails you lose. Remember that, right?
I do remember that.
That's right. And what does that really mean?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It means I always win.
Yeah.
Heads I win, tails you lose. I'm saying the same thing
Right.
twice.
It's like I never get a chance to win.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You always win.
Ellis, I said I was at least going to make this podcast go an hour. You got 3 minutes and 30 seconds to fill. Go.
I don't know much what I can say.
Well, what are your thoughts on the new administration? I'm sure you have something to say there.
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing. But if it wasn't nothing, what would it be?
What do you mean by new administration?
I mean, like the new administration.
I don't get what you're saying about a new administration.
Well, even if you don't get what I'm saying, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm guessing it's good thoughts.
Are you guessing it's good thoughts? Well, I mean, I appreciate the positive perspective.
Yeah.
I still find this to be more entertaining than any attempt at a crank call. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what I meant by administration was the incoming administration. Okay. But I know you don't like politics, but I know you were focused on TikTok. So now, Ellis, it's going to be 75 more days before we find out if TikTok is going away for good.
Right.
So it's still unknown. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how are you going to manage this? Do you have like an egg timer or you a countdown clock? How are you going to manage these 75 days? How does Ellis plan to get through the next 75 days?
Well, unless if someone buys it.
That wasn't the question. How are you going to get through these 75 days? What's your plan?
Oh. I don't have a plan. I'll just tune in whenever I feel like it.
All right, so you're going to tune in on day 76 and it's going to be gone. What are you going to do?
Not going to be gone.
It's going to be gone. First of all, the attitude in your voice, you're very confident it's not going to be gone. Who do you work for?
No.
Who,
I think someone's going to...
who do you work for?
I don't know who I work for.
Well, that makes two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Ellis has sources. Ellis, you say like you certain TikTok's not going to go away?
Yeah, well, at least someone will try to buy it.
Would you buy TikTok?
No, I don't have the cash.
You don't have the cash. What about credit? What about debit?
No.
Ellis, hear me out. You partner up with Mr. Beast and you change it to Ellis Talk and it becomes Ellis Talk. Can we do it?
Maybe.
All right. In all seriousness, what do you think I should do? You think I should stay on the app or you think I should leave?
Stay on that.
Yeah, well, I knew that was going to be the answer. So stay on the app even if it's going to go away in 75 days?
What's like 75 days?
Like how long is that?
No. What do you mean by like 75 days?
I mean like one more than 74.
Okay.
What do you mean by what do I mean by 75 days?
Like it could be gone by February, March, April, May.
Well, what is this? Yeah, maybe something like that. Because
It's January right now.
2 months would be 60 days. 2 weeks would be about 14. Let's call that 2 months, 2 weeks. We're about 2 weeks away-ish from the end of this month, right? So,
Right.
yeah. So TikTok could go away on April 1st-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, that's what could happen. If they don't sell it, Ellis, it'll go away.
Yeah.
So why am I going to
Right.
waste my time on this thing if it's going to go away?
Fair.
I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Mhm.
Ellis, I got to go. I got a call from New York.
But okay.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
You're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Royce, it's Jim from Long Island. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. So I think you should monetize somewhere else and not support this app anymore.
I
It's
agree.
just going to drag you down almost like the Disney crap dragged you down.
Well, I think the issue for me, well, not that I think, I know the issue for me is the uncertainty. So I feel like you'd be a fool at this point to play along.
Definitely. Better put your time and effort into something else that you can grow further than what you can limit it by TikTok.
But you know how much easier that would have been if they would have just pulled the plug on the app, because I would have just been like, okay. But now it requires me to like fully take the leap. I was kind of doing the transitional move, and now we're talking about like it's. I'm not saying I'm not capable of it. It just requires a little more guts.
I'm sure you're up for the challenge.
Yeah, I just got to, it's still fresh it's still processing, because it was only last night when he sat down there and started signing stuff that TikTok even came back up in the conversation. And it was like dribs and drabs, I don't know if you saw any of that.
Yeah, I saw some of it. It wasn't worth my time really to watch it because it's all just, political hack shit. They just jump from one subject to another subject, just trying to appease the masses.
Well, that's just it. And I'm like trying to just sieve through it to get to the TikTok answers, because everybody thinks it's over, meaning it's resolved. But I'm like, nothing's happened. You're not going to get any information until you know about this EO. And then you got to wait for the response from Congress.
It's never going to be resolved. Even if Congress changes the law, something else down the line will change it again.
It's like having a bad girlfriend.
Exactly. They always or a bad penny, it always turns back up.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's on your mind?
So if you're which platform are you looking towards? YouTube or something like that?
I'm not looking towards anything. I've been on YouTube for years. I've been on Instagram. We obviously have the podcast, and I added Twitch. So I don't see, and I didn't see anyway, myself devoting my energy to a singular platform. I want to build something that becomes, and I like this term. I heard Portnoy use the term the other day, and I've heard it before, but it was reminded to me. Platform agnostic. I'd just like to get to the point where it doesn't matter where you're catching me. And it doesn't mean you're seeing the same thing everywhere, but I don't want to have all my, I was already diversifying to not have all my eggs in one basket, but moving forward, I want to be everywhere.
Yeah. You talked before all the shenanigans hit the proverbial fan about bringing in, people from Disney and stuff like that. Are you going to still end up bringing them in for those podcasts?
Yeah, so I had that one interview, and I just being real with you, man, I deleted the damn thing. I was editing it, and I forget what I was backing up. And honestly, I wasn't happy with that round of the interview. So I'm going to go back to that person and re-record it, because I actually want to do I think I actually want to have a set list of questions that I ask each cast member, so that you can compare the answers and not just have a freewheeling conversation. So I think it was actually a blessing in disguise. But I was actually talking to another cast member about recording that the other day. It's just all about time. But listen, I'm recording something this afternoon We're going to talk to a former mayor tomorrow. So I'm starting to do those interviews in the afternoon, pre-record them and distribute them. So it'll happen.
Yeah. As long as you don't get rid of these radio type show programs, do what you got to do. This, I think, is like the calling for you. You're very fluid, very, it's you. It's not, no shenanigans, no Disney fluff. It's just you and your thoughts.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I love radio. I did radio back in the day before podcasting was a term. It was an internet show. We won a nationwide contest. We got very close to having a real radio show. There's no such thing as a real radio show. So you do this instead. But I like it. And It doesn't matter to me if you're watching on YouTube or TikTok. At some point, it'll be podcasted out. And, like if this is where my focus is, I was already working towards it. But this whole TikTok thing is just adding a level of uncertainty to my workflow. That's really what it comes down to at this point.
Yeah. But one other question. I know you were talking about the AI, and you're going to have that guy come in and talk about the AI and the robots and everything like that.
Oh.
Why do you think Disney doesn't initiate doing AI for their next generation of animatronics?
Oh, well, who's to say they're not? I mean, they the funny thing is Disney tries to pretend to be a tech company when they're appeasing shareholders, but then when it actually comes to implementation, everything is a stunt, So I think they're probably a long way from actually having something like that they could use in the parks. I mean, we see a lot of dribs and drabs of new tech from them, the autonomous Groot and things like that. But then where are they in the parks,
Yeah. Well, I just go by, look at the Splash Mountain remake. Let's throw screens in and one new animatronic, one new next gen animatronic. It doesn't quite feel like they give a crap anymore.
No, they don't, and they don't have to. I've been saying that for the longest time. If you have an endless supply of demand, which is kind of an ironic way to say it, but if you have endless demand, then you can kind of get away with murder. Now, it doesn't mean you should, but they're doing it. I mean, didn't they just say today they're opening up that like super expensive pass, whatever? I don't even know what it's called anymore. The new upsell pass.
Oh, that all-inclusive pass?
Yeah, the $400 a day, whatever. They just opened it up to all guests now, like they're doing everybody a favor. That just means you weren't selling enough of them.
Yeah.
Holiday season's
and they
over.
Never would. Yep.
So they're nickel and diamond.
They probably never. Yeah, but you would think that with the I just foresee they could do so much with AI that they have now, and then imagine what they. Back to the days of Walt. Walt created animatronics. If it wasn't for Walt, AI, I don't think would be as far along as it is.
Well, I look, you can talk about implementing AI in the front-facing, guest-facing side of things, and then you can talk about implementing AI into the back end. And they definitely said that they're implementing more AI into the business as a whole. So whether they choose to use it in the theme parks where the guests will experience it, or they're using it for operations, they're using it. I just don't think you're talking about look, Imagineering has gotten very, very lazy. Okay. And you're talking about an operation right now with the parks that is coasting on bare minimum. And the idea of implementing something like that would mean maintaining it. And they can't maintain the stuff that they used to maintain. So to bring in something at that level of innovation and then attempt to maintain it, it won't happen. They can't even maintain the Navi animatronic on that ride in Animal Kingdom. And it's the only animatronic on the ride. And they got two of them. There's no reason that thing shouldn't always be running. Just swap out the other one.
Well, I hear where you're coming from, because look at what the Rise of the Resistance, the cannons still don't move, and that's just a pulley system, pretty much, a track system.
Yep. Yeah, I know people that work on that ride, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a decision, and it's a part order." And at a certain point, those parts are probably, look, I'm not going to say with the cannons the parts are sitting on the shelf because they probably are not. But I can tell you from my own experience, there are many times where I saw something that needed a repair and the part was right on the shelf and nobody wanted to touch it. They have 2 animatronics for Navi. Epic's animatronic. I can't wait. Listen, I got to go to Epic Universe when it opens. I haven't been to Universal. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I haven't been to Universal since Nickelodeon was there. One of my last memories of Universal is being in the parking garage and looking out at all of the dirt that I guess would have become Islands of Adventure and going, wow, one day they're going to fill all this. Like, I remember standing in the parking garage looking at all the empty land and going, wow, one day they're going to fill all this. And I haven't been back since.
I honestly haven't. I've been to Universal once. I was on my honeymoon over 21 years ago. Myself and my wife walked into the park, looped the park, and walked right back out.
Really? See, I loved Jaws, King Kong, E.T. Like, that's what I remember. And I can picture that loop, and I know where Nickelodeon was, and I remember kind of Hard Rock being sort of at the back end there, kind of, in my mind, kind of like Studios has with Sunset, although I'm sure it's very different. And I love that original King Kong attraction, you know?
Yeah.
But I spent 2 decades in L.A. working for Universal Studios Hollywood, and Universal Studios Hollywood, it's awesome because it's a movie. It's a movie studio, so it's a functioning, movie studio. But the theme park experience has always been lackluster.
Well, because they were more geared up for the movies than the theme parks. But now they're pretty much with, changes and everything. They have to, modify their business plan and go somewhere else.
Let me tell you something. No, you're right. But they've given in because over the years, like the folks in the neighboring communities around Universal Studios Hollywood did not want like an outdoor coaster. They didn't want to deal with the noise and all of that. And Universal slowly won out on that though. With Mario, with Nintendo, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I was thinking of, I'm supposed to, for my 50th, we're going down to Florida for Disney, but I think part of my trip is probably going to be going and checking out Universal for once.
Yeah, if you can get into Epic, right? I mean, that's the thing is getting into it's going to be a challenge, but hey, that's good for business for everybody.
Yeah. Hey, it'll make the lines in Disney probably lower.
Listen, let me tell you real quick. I'll give you a 45-second story. So I came up through the NBC Page program in Los Angeles. So I worked in Burbank, where Carson did his show and everything. And NBC Universal merged. We took over, and we were like brats. We had NBC badges, and we would go on our lunch break. We'd walk out of our office building, across the Universal lot, into the back of the theme park where like the Jurassic Park ride is, just wave our badge, then go to the front to the Mummy line, wave our NBC badge, and just go right to the front of the ride and ride the rides during lunch. And because NBC bought Universal, the smaller company bought the bigger company, right? And we all had our fancy blue badges, staff members from the company, from the parent company, and we abused the heck out of that. And to the point that they were like, y'all need to stop, right? And it got so wild. Like, I remember going in on like a Saturday morning, I would just take a golf cart and go for a joyride around the back lot. And one morning, and I'm in LA, so you read between the lines, but one morning, I got my coffee, I'm ready to go, I'm feeling good. I go over to Universal because it's my playground, we own the place, I get the golf cart, and I'm cruising down New York Street. I'm like, how cool is this? I'm riding through Universal. It's bright and early in the morning. There's no tour trams. There's nothing. I go speeding around the corner, and I almost crash into a full-on car commercial. They are like, the car's rigged up with the cameras and everything. I am, again, bright and early on a Saturday in LA, read between the lines. I am feeling great, right? I got my coffee. I am like, the way I made a U-turn and that golf cart was up on two wheels to get out of that area. And I was like, it wasn't even like my golf, like the golf cart wasn't even under my name. I was like, oh my God, I am going to get in so much trouble. And I booked it. And I used to park in Peter Falk's spot. Remember Columbo?
Yep.
All right. Peter Falk had a great parking spot, but I knew he was never there. So I'm like, I'm just parking Columbo's spot. So now I'm like in this golf cart racing across the Universal backlot trying to get to Columbo's parking spot so I can get the hell out of Dodge. I'm like, it was like a cartoon, you know? But literally
back in the day when
literally drove into a car, like literally almost hit the car.
Whoops. Yep. Things happen when you're having fun.
Well, it's a Saturday morning in LA. What would you do?
Probably more.
Yeah. Well, listen. You know what?
But,
it was a great experience working on that lot.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you, Royce, for listening to me and talking. You enjoy your day. Go do your prep for your meeting, for your interview, and just remember the people that are supporting you will support you wherever you go and however platforms you're on. And the haters will always hate.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. I apologize for the delay. We're doing like a little bit of a dance, but I'm trying my best.
Yep. Well, you're working hard at it. That's all that matters.
Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great day.
You too, sir. Bye now.
Bye now. Hey now, bye now. It's a 516 area code. 516, Long Island. I went to school on Long Island. I went to Adelphi University. I was the mascot. I was the Panther. I was the class president. I was the tour guide. I was very involved on campus. Long Island's a good place. I'm not going to say I miss it, but I have some fond memories. I have some fond memories of going to school on Long Island. I have some interesting memories, too, some stories I probably shouldn't share here, but you never know. 253-263-1540. Such a good caller, though. 253-263-1540. We had so much fun on the Universal lot. I mean, that was my home. That's the funny thing. You know, Universal's my home, like, legitimately. I mean, I came up through the Page program, NBC Universal. You know, I spent years there. I mean, and left and came back, and they always say people always come back to NBC. And, you know, as much as Disney is my home, Universal is my home, too. It's kind of cool. Now, if anybody caught the last time we were in L.A., I went to Universal. I was live streaming Universal. And within 10 seconds of going live on the back lot, the head of the studio comes turning around the corner. And he recognized me right away, and I was shocked that he did, because I haven't seen him in years. And he's like, hey. And I was like, oh, hi. And I immediately cut the live. And he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I was about to go live on TikTok. And he goes, oh, do you have permission for that? Or are you just doing whatever the hell you want? And I looked him right in the face, and I go, I'm doing whatever the hell I want. And he's the head of the studio. And he goes, oh, well, then I don't know anything. And he walked away. And I go, I'll come up and say hi later. He's like, all right. So I'm like running around the whole back lot. We did the whole live stream. We had a great time. And talk about, we turned the corner. We almost drove into a tour guide. Okay. But that was a fun time. That was a fun moment. Maybe I'll go get a job back there again. Maybe I'll just go back there. I wonder if they need to see a resume. All right, I think we're done. I think an hour and 20 minutes is enough. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit here and keep complaining about the Chinese Communist Party? I just go listen to the show again. I will remind you, though, that in this new year, it is the perfect time The absolute perfect time to spice up your kitchen. Pampered Chef has all the goodies from spatulas and mandolins, amazing pots and pans. Not just pots and pans, they are amazing. Mandolins, and I don't think it's the kind of mandolin I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of more of a musical instrument. I think that's more of a kitchen utensil. I don't really know what a mandolin is, but they have them. And knives. Plus, don't miss out on the small appliances like the deluxe air fryer and the coffee maker. Spice up your kitchen today. Colleen Herman, that's pamperedchef.com. No, it's not. It's Pampered Chef. Wait, it is pamperedchef.com. Pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. Pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. That's in yellow, so it kind of threw me off. With no estate plan, you could be leaving those you love the most with high taxes, probate fees, and an incomplete or divided estate and legal fights and fees. If you live in Florida, contact RK Law today for a free consultation to discuss the options and tools you have available to protect your home, savings, and estate for those you love the most. To get started, send an email to russell@rklawpro.com or call 786-566-2456 today. That's 786-566-2456. Last minute shipping from the theme parks. Maybe you're local, you need a notary, copies, whatever you're looking to do, my friends at the UPS store have you covered. Right behind the Magic Kingdom at 6526 Old Brick Road. Right behind the Magic Kingdom at 6526 Old Brick Road. Go check out the UPS store. They'll help you out. And as always, William Bailey Travel's there to help you with your travel needs. Whether you're looking to book a trip, a cruise, a trip to Disney, a Disney cruise, or you're just looking to go explore another country, I don't blame you. At this point, I may move to another country. William will provide a customizable travel experience for you at competitive rates. Check out William Bailey Travel by filling out the form on my website at royces.com or email William.bailey at academytravel.com, William.bailey at academytravel.com. I feel like the Micro Machine Man when I do that. I'm going to wrap up the radio show. Bruce, you said that yesterday. I'm in the middle of a radio show. It's unbelievable. World is burning. We're focused on Disney. I'm going to wrap up the radio show, and I'm going to talk to the folks on TikTok for a minute. We're going to podcast this out. Later, we're going to be talking to the brilliant minds at Robotis. Okay, you're going to be able to get that presentation on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast at well. Now, if you want to talk about Disney parks, animatronics, robotics, programming, STEAM, and STEM, I really hope that somebody will turn on this interview for their kids, whether you got little ones or teenagers, whatever, because these guys over at Robotis have an entire suite of entry-level products to get the next Imagineer in your family going. And I'm not saying that to be cheeky, but I sincerely am excited to work with Robotis to provide entry-level animatronics and robotics to inspire the next generation of theme park designers, because we need them, and that is our escape, right? So, and again, we're talking about physical AI. It's not just entertainment. There's some real value to real-world scenarios with physical AI. And I'm trying to think. There was something else on that list that really, I have my notes, so we'll get to it when we get to it. I don't need to promo everything right now. But they're teaming up with MIT, and South Korea is funding it to do physical AI. But there was another piece in the pie there with NVIDIA that I have to talk to them about, because NVIDIA is doing something as well. And if you're familiar with NVIDIA obviously does computer chips and microprocessing and AI and all of that. But there was something NVIDIA is doing in the physical AI space. I want to talk to them about that as well. So, it'll be interesting, whether you're coming at it from the educational side of things, from the theme park side of things, from the business side of things, from the stock side of things with NVIDIA, whatever it may be. It should be a very informative conversation. So check that out, my interview with Robotis. That'll be out later today. We're going to wrap up the show right now, and I'll talk to you on TikTok in about 30 seconds.